Commander Lisa Hayes stood in the control room of Kepler Station, watching the bright screens that showed the edge of human space. The red warning lights flashed all around her, making everything look dangerous and urgent. Her hands shook slightly as she read the reports coming in from the outer colonies. "Commander, we have another attack report from New Denver Colony," said Lieutenant Tony Martinez. His voice was tight with worry. "Captain Jake Morrison is sending emergency signals. They hit the power plant and the communication tower." Lisa felt her stomach drop. This was the fourth attack in 2 days. The Zephyrian Alliance was breaking their promise. 2 years ago, they had signed the Non-Aggression Pact. It was supposed to keep peace between humans and the 3 alien species that made up the Alliance. Now they were attacking human settlements without warning. "Show me the damage report," Lisa ordered. The main screen changed to show pictures from New Denver. The colony's main power plant was a smoking ruin. The communication tower lay broken on the ground like a fallen tree. Worst of all, she could see the bodies of colonists who had been caught in the attack. Captain Jake Morrison's face appeared on the screen. His uniform was torn and dirty. Blood ran down his forehead from a cut above his eye. Behind him, Lisa could see fires burning in the colony. "Commander Hayes, this is Morrison reporting from New Denver. The Zephyrians hit us hard. They came in fast with 3 warships. No warning, no demands, just straight attack." Morrison paused to cough. Smoke was thick in the air around him. "They targeted our industrial areas first. The power plant, the mining equipment, the communication systems. It's like they knew exactly what to hit." Lisa felt anger rising in her chest. "How many casualties, Captain?" 43 dead, 67 wounded. We got most people to the shelters. But the first wave caught our workers by surprise." Morrison looked directly at the camera. "Commander, this wasn't random. They knew our layout, our schedules, our weak points. Someone gave them detailed information about our colony." The screen went to static for a moment, and Morrison's voice came back, broken and unclear. "Commander, I'm seeing more ships on the horizon. They're coming back for a second attack. We can't hold them off. Our defenses are down." The signal cut completely. Lisa stared at the empty screen, feeling cold despite the warm air in the control room. New Denver was gone. Another human colony destroyed by aliens who had promised peace. "Get me Admiral Patricia Wells immediately," Lisa ordered. Wow. She waited. More reports came in. The Tau Ceti system had been hit by coordinated attacks. 3 colonies damaged, 1 completely destroyed. The attacks were too well planned to be random raids. This was war. Admiral Wells' face appeared on the screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Lisa had worked with her for 10 years and had never seen her look so serious. "Admiral, the Zephyrians have broken the treaty. Multiple attacks across the Tau Ceti system. They're targeting our infrastructure, not just raiding for supplies." Wells nodded slowly. "I've been getting reports from all along the border. This is a coordinated assault. They're testing our defenses, seeing how we respond." "What are your orders, Admiral?" "I'm calling an emergency session of the Human Colonial Council. This is bigger than just border raids. The Zephyrians think we're weak and scattered. They believe we can't fight back effectively." Lisa felt a chill. The Human Colonial Council only met for the most serious threats. The last time was when the Helix Collective had first made contact 5 years ago. "Do you think they're planning a full invasion?" Lisa asked. Wells was quiet for a long moment. "Intelligence suggests they're running out of resources in their home systems. They need new territory, new planets to support their growing population. Our colonies are spread out, lightly defended. They probably think we're easy targets." Communication system beeped with another incoming message. Lisa's aide Sergeant Kevin Barnes looked up from his console. "Admiral, we have Captain Morrison again. He's alive, but barely." Morrison's battered face appeared on a smaller screen. His colony burned behind him. "Admiral Wells, they're gone for now, but they'll be back." Before they left, they broadcast a message. They said this was just the beginning. They said humans had grown too comfortable in space, and it was time for stronger species to take over. Wells' expression hardened. "Captain Morrison, get your people to the evacuation ships. We're pulling back all outer colonies until we can respond properly. Admiral, with respect, running away won't stop them. They'll just follow us deeper into human space. I'm not running, Captain. I'm preparing." Wells turned back to Lisa. "Commander Hayes, I want you to start emergency protocols. Contact all colony leaders and prepare them for possible evacuation. But also tell them to start gathering intelligence. I want to know everything about these attacks." Lisa nodded. "What? About diplomacy? Maybe we can still talk to them." Wells smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Oh, we're going to talk to them. We're going to send our best diplomat with terms they can't refuse. Who did you have in mind?" "Andrew Carter. He's been handling alien relations for 30 years. If anyone can make them understand the situation, it's him." Lisa had heard of Carter. He was famous for negotiating the original peace treaty with the Zephyrians. He was known for being calm under pressure and finding solutions when others saw only problems. "What kind of terms are we talking about?" Wells' expression became very serious. "Ultimate terms. The kind that prevent wars or justify them." The control room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. This wasn't about negotiation anymore. This was about giving the Zephyrians one last chance before humanity showed its true strength. "I'll contact Carter immediately," Lisa said. "Do that. And Commander, make sure he understands. This isn't a normal diplomatic mission. This is humanity's final offer. If they reject it, we implement Protocol 7. Lisa had never heard of Protocol 7, but the way Wells said it made her skin crawl. "What is Protocol 7? Wells looked directly at her. "Something we hoped we'd never have to use. Something that will change the balance of power in this galaxy forever." The communication ended, leaving Lisa alone with her thoughts. Outside the station, she could see the stars that marked the border between human and Zephyrian space. Somewhere out there, alien ships were preparing for what they thought would be an easy conquest. They had no idea what they had just awakened. Andrew Carter sat in his private cabin aboard the diplomatic vessel Peacekeeper, staring at the classified files spread across his desk. In 30 years of diplomatic service, he had never carried orders like these. The sealed envelope from the Human Colonial Council felt heavier than it should. His aide, Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos, knocked on the door before entering. She was a sharp woman in her 40s who had worked with Carter for 5 years. Her expression was serious as she carried a fresh cup of coffee and another stack of files. "Sir, I have the latest intelligence reports on the Zephyrian Alliance political structure. You need to see this before we arrive." Carter looked up from the damage reports he had been reading. Pictures of destroyed colonies covered his desk. Burned buildings, broken equipment, and too many casualty lists. "What have you found?" Maria sat down across from him. "The Alliance is more unstable than we thought. The 3 species are barely holding together. The Draknari are the military power, but they're running out of resources. The Vex control most of the trade routes, but their profits are falling. The Helix Collective has the best technology, but they're having population problems." Carter leaned back in his chair. "So they're desperate. That makes them dangerous, but also gives us leverage. There's more. Our intelligence suggests that attacks on our colonies weren't unanimous. The Vex were against it initially. They make good money from human trade. But the Draknari convinced them that taking our territory was the only way to survive. Carter picked up a file with pictures of the 3 alien species. The Draknari looked like large reptiles with thick skin and sharp teeth. They were warriors by nature, always ready for battle. The Vex were smaller and more cunning, with large eyes and quick movements. They reminded him of some kind of space merchants who would sell anything for profit. The Helix Collective were the strangest, with bodies that seemed to be part machine and part living tissue. What about their military capabilities? Carter asked. Maria opened another file. The Draknari have about 200 warships, but they're spread across their territory. The Vex have mostly armed merchant vessels, fast but not heavily armed. The Helix ships are the most advanced, but they only have about 50 of them. Carter nodded slowly. So they have numbers and technology, but they're not unified. Their strength is also their weakness. Exactly. If we can drive a wedge between them, the alliance might collapse on its own. Carter looked at the sealed orders again. He wasn't allowed to open them until they reached Zephyrian space, but he had been briefed on their general nature. These weren't negotiation guidelines. They were demands. Maria, in all your military experience, have you ever seen orders like these? She shook her head. No, sir. Usually we're told to find compromise, to give ground to avoid conflict. These orders, they're telling you to take a hard line. No compromise, no negotiation. Just deliver the terms and wait for an answer. The ship's communication system crackled to life. Ambassador Carter, this is Captain Ryan Mitchell. We're approaching the edge of Zephyrian space. We should make contact with their patrol ships in about an hour. Carter pressed the reply button. Thank you, Captain. Are we ready if they decide to be hostile? Sir, the Peacekeeper is a diplomatic vessel, but we're not helpless. We have enough firepower to defend ourselves, and our engines are fast enough to outrun most of their ships. Let's hope we don't need either. As they flew deeper into alien space, Carter thought about his first meeting with the Zephyrians too. Years ago, they had been polite but distant. The Draknari had been suspicious of human intentions. The Vex had been interested in trade opportunities. The Helix Collective had been curious about human technology. Now everything had changed. The aliens had chosen to see humans as weak targets rather than potential partners. They had broken the treaty that Carter himself had helped negotiate. The trust that had taken years to build was destroyed in a few days of attacks. Sir, we're getting a signal from Zephyrian patrol ships, Maria reported. They're ordering us to stop and explain our presence. Carter stood up and straightened his diplomatic uniform. Tell them we're here on official business. Ambassador Carter requesting permission to address the Alliance High Council. The response came back quickly. They single quotes surprised. They weren't expecting a diplomatic response to their attacks. They're asking for confirmation of your identity. Send them my diplomatic credentials. Full authorization from the Human Colonial Council. There was a longer pause this time. When the response came, the alien voice sounded confused. Sir, they're granting us passage to Zephyrus Prime, but they're asking why we're here instead of sending military ships. Carter smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. Because we're giving them one last chance to do the right thing. The journey to the Zephyrian homeworld took another 6 hours. During that time, Carter reviewed everything he knew about the 3 species. The Draknari respected strength and direct action. The Vex understood profit and loss. The Helix Collective valued logic and efficiency. His terms would have to appeal to all 3, or at least make them understand the consequences of rejection. As they approached Zephyros Prime, Carter could see the massive space station that orbited the planet. It was a symbol of the Alliance's power, built by combining the best technology from all 3 species. Hundreds of ships came and went from its docking bays. Sir, "We're being escorted by a full squadron of Draknari warships," Captain Mitchell reported. "They're not taking any chances." Carter looked out the window at the alien ships surrounding them. Each one was twice the size of the Peacekeeper and armed with enough weapons to destroy a small city. The Draknari were making a statement about their power. "Let them show off," Carter said. "It won't change what I have to tell them." The space station grew larger as they approached. Carter could see the different sections built by each species. The Draknari section was heavily armored and bristling with weapons. The Vex section was sleek and efficient, designed for commerce. The Helix section was a maze of strange geometric shapes that seemed to shift and change as he watched. "Ambassador, we're cleared for docking. The Alliance High Council will meet with you in 2 hours." Carter nodded. 2 hours to prepare for the most important diplomatic meeting of his career. 2 hours before he would deliver terms that would either prevent a war or justify humanity's response. He opened the sealed orders and read them carefully. The terms were exactly what he had expected. No compromise, no negotiation, just a clear choice between peace and consequences. As the Peacekeeper docked with the station, Carter felt a strange sense of calm. He had spent his career finding ways to avoid conflict, building bridges between species, creating trust where none existed before. Today would be different. Today he would deliver an ultimatum that would change everything. The airlock opened, and Carter stepped onto the alien station. Guards from all 3 species waited for him, their weapons clearly visible. They expected him to be nervous, to show fear in the face of their power. Instead, Carter walked calmly past them, his head held high. He had a message to deliver, and nothing would stop him from completing his mission. The fate of 2 civilizations now rested on the next few hours. The Alliance High Council chambers were designed to intimidate. The ceiling stretched high above, covered in symbols from all 3 Zephyrian species. The walls were made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. At the center of the room sat 3 massive chairs, each one built for the leader of a different species. Andrew Carter walked calmly across the polished floor, his footsteps echoing in the huge space. Behind him, Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos carried a briefcase containing the evidence of Zephyrian attacks. Around them, dozens of alien officials watched from elevated galleries. High Commander Zektar of the Draknari sat in the center chair. He was nearly 8 feet tall, with dark green scales and yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. His claws tapped impatiently on the armrests of his chair. To his left sat Trade Master Vexiini, a smaller creature with pale blue skin and large black eyes. Her long fingers moved constantly, as if she was always calculating something. On the right was Collective Node Prime, the representative of the Helix species. Part of its body was mechanical, with glowing circuits visible under transparent skin. "Ambassador Carter," High Commander Zektar's voice was deep and threatening. "We did not expect to see you again so soon. Your species usually responds to attacks with military force, not diplomatic visits." Carter stopped in front of the 3 leaders and bowed slightly, showing respect but not fear. "High Commander, Trade Master, Node Prime, I come here today, not as a negotiator, but as a messenger. The Human Colonial Council has sent me to deliver terms regarding your recent attacks on our colonies." Trade Master Vexiini leaned forward in her chair. "Terms? You speak as if you are in a position to make demands. Your colonies burned easily. Your defenses were weak. Your people scattered like frightened animals. I have documentation of your attacks," Carter said calmly. He gestured to Maria, who opened the briefcase and activated a holographic projector. Images of destroyed colonies filled the air above them. The attack on New Denver Colony resulted in 43 deaths and 67 wounded. The assault on Tau Ceti mining station killed 28 workers and destroyed equipment worth millions of credits. The images showed burning buildings, broken machinery, and the bodies of human colonists. Carter's voice remained steady as he continued. The strike on Harmony Agricultural Center destroyed food supplies that would have fed 50,000 people. The attack on Research Station Echo eliminated 5 years of scientific work. Collective Node Prime's mechanical voice was emotionless. Your casualties are within acceptable parameters for territorial expansion. Your resistance was minimal. Your technology is inferior to ours. Carter nodded as if he agreed. You're correct that our outer colonies were lightly defended. You're also correct that we suffered significant losses. However, these attacks violated the non-aggression pact signed by all parties in 2387. High Commander Zektar laughed, a sound like grinding stone. Treaties are worth nothing when survival is at stake. Your species has grown comfortable in space. You have forgotten that only the strong deserve to control territory. Perhaps, Carter replied, but treaty violations have consequences. The Human Colonial Council has authorized me to deliver our final terms to the Zephyrian Alliance. Trade Master Vexiini's eyes narrowed. Final terms? You speak as if you have power here. Look around you, human. You are surrounded by our forces. Your nearest military ships are days away. What terms could you possibly offer that we would accept? Carter reached into his jacket and pulled out a formal document. The paper was sealed with the official mark of the Human Colonial Council. The terms are simple and non-negotiable. First, complete withdrawal of all Zephyrian military forces from human space within 72 hours. Second, payment of reparations, equal to 10 times the damage inflicted on our colonies. Third, surrender of the military commanders who planned and executed these attacks. The silence in the chamber was complete. Even the alien officials in the galleries stopped their whispering. The 3 leaders stared at Carter as if he had lost his mind. High Commander Zektar was the first to recover. His laughter boomed through the chamber. You are either very brave or very foolish, Ambassador. Do you truly believe we would accept such ridiculous demands? The terms are not negotiable, Carter repeated. These are humanity's final conditions for avoiding further conflict. Trade Master Vexiini's voice was sharp with disbelief. Further conflict? Human, you seem to misunderstand the situation. We have superior numbers, better technology, and unified command. Your species is scattered across dozens of star systems with no central authority. You cannot threaten us. Collective Node Prime's analysis was clinical. Human military assets in this sector total approximately 50 vessels. Alliance military strength exceeds 300 warships. Human population in contested areas, 2 million. Alliance population, 40 million. Mathematical probability of human victory, less than 1%. Carter listened to their assessment without changing expression. When they finished, he smiled slightly. Your intelligence is impressive, but incomplete. You've made several assumptions about humanity that may not be accurate. What assumptions? High Commander Zektar demanded. You assume that our scattered colonies make us weak. You assume that our democratic government makes us slow to respond. You assume that our peaceful nature makes us unable to wage effective war. Carter's voice remained calm. These assumptions led you to violate our treaty and attack our people. Trade Master Vexiini leaned back in her chair. Are you suggesting these assumptions are wrong? I'm suggesting that humanity has learned much from studying galactic history. We've observed how conflicts develop between species. We've seen which strategies succeed and which fail. Carter looked directly at each leader in turn. We've also learned that every species that has underestimated human determination has eventually come to regret that mistake. The chamber fell silent again. High Commander Zektar's claws stopped tapping. Trademaster Vexiini's fingers stopped moving. Even Collective Node Prime's mechanical parts seemed to pause. "You speak of determination," High Commander Zektar said. "Slowly, but determination without power is meaningless. What power do humans possess that we should fear?" Carter's smile became more pronounced. "The power to surprise you, the power to adapt, the power to unite when truly threatened." He paused. "And the power to make choices that change the balance of everything." "Empty words," Trademaster Vexiini snapped. "You have no hidden fleets. Our scouts have mapped your territory. Your military strength is exactly what we calculated." "Your scouts are very thorough," Carter agreed. "But they may have missed some things. Human civilization is older than your alliance. We've had more time to prepare for possibilities like this." Collective Node Prime's voice carried a hint of curiosity. "What possibilities?" "The possibility that peaceful treaties would be broken. The possibility that diplomacy would fail. The possibility that we would need to demonstrate that human patience should not be mistaken for human weakness." High Commander Zektar stood up, his full height making him tower over Carter. "Enough riddles, human. Your terms are rejected. Your threats are meaningless. You have 24 hours to leave our territory before we consider your presence an act of war." Carter bowed again, still showing no fear. "I understand your position, High Commander. I will convey your decision to my government." He turned to leave, then paused and looked back at the three leaders. "Before I go, I should mention that my government anticipated this response. They asked me to deliver one final message if you rejected our terms." "What message?" Trademaster Vexiini asked. Carter's expression became very serious. "The message is simple. Humanity tried diplomacy. We offered reasonable terms. You chose a different path." He pulled out a secure communicator and activated it. "Protocol 7 is now authorized." He spoke clearly into the device. "This is Ambassador Carter. The Alliance has rejected all terms. You may proceed with implementation." The response came, "Back immediately." "Understood, Ambassador. Protocol 7 is now active. All units report ready." Carter closed the communicator and looked at the three leaders one last time. "I genuinely hope you reconsider your position. But if you don't, you'll understand soon enough what humanity is truly capable of." He walked out of the chamber, leaving the Zephyrian leaders staring after him. Behind him, he could hear urgent conversations beginning in all three alien languages. He reached the corridor. Maria fell into step beside him. "Sir, what exactly is Protocol 7? Carter's expression was grim. "Something we hoped we'd never have to use. Something that will show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers." "Then what is it?" "Our ability to plan ahead. Our willingness to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. And our determination to finish when others start." They walked toward the docking bay in silence, knowing that the next few hours would determine the fate of both civilizations. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in a facility that didn't exist on any official records, Colonel Steve Mitchell stood before a wall of monitors displaying star maps. Each screen showed different sectors of human space, and each sector was marked with hundreds of small green dots. "Protocol 7 is active," Mitchell said into his headset. "All Spartan network stations, this is control. Begin Phase 1 activation." Across human space, mining stations that had operated quietly for years suddenly came alive with new purpose. Communication relays that had seemed ordinary began transmitting on frequencies that had never been used before. Research outposts that appeared to study planets and asteroids revealed their true nature. Lieutenant Colonel Beth Wagner, Mitchell's second in command, watched as the green dots on the screens began changing to yellow, then orange, then red. Sir, we have full activation on networks 7 through 15. The outer rim stations are powering up now. Mitchell nodded with satisfaction. How long have we been building this network, Beth? 12 years, sir. Ever since first contact with the Helix Collective. Every new colony, every mining operation, every research station we've built has been part of the network. The Spartan network was humanity's greatest secret. What appeared to be scattered, weak colonies were actually components of a massive defensive system. Each settlement contained hidden military assets, underground bunkers, and communication equipment that could coordinate strikes across vast distances. Sir, we are receiving confirmation from Captain Amy Johnson. Operation Merchant is ready to proceed. Mitchell smiled grimly. For months, human trading vessels had been traveling through Zephyrian space, mapping military installations, recording patrol patterns, and identifying key infrastructure. The aliens had welcomed these ships, seeing them as proof of human commercial interests and weakness. They had no idea that every friendly trader was actually a military scout gathering intelligence for this moment. What's the status of the fleet movements? Mitchell asked. Admiral Wells reports that all hidden squadrons are in position. The Zephyrians still think our main fleet is concentrated around Earth and the core worlds. They don't know about the bases we've built in the asteroid fields. For decades, humanity had been secretly constructing military bases in remote locations throughout their territory. Hollowed-out asteroids contained fully equipped shipyards. Hidden stations in empty space housed complete battle fleets. The aliens. Scouts had mapped human space, but they had only seen what humans wanted them to see. Sir, incoming message from the Peacekeeper. Ambassador Carter has delivered the ultimatum and is returning to human space. Mitchell felt a moment of sadness. Andrew Carter was a good man who had spent his career trying to prevent exactly this kind of situation. But diplomacy only worked when both sides wanted peace. Begin Phase 2. I want communication blackouts in all Zephyrian sectors. Make it look like system failures, not attacks. Throughout Zephyrian space, communication networks began experiencing problems. Relay stations went offline due to apparent technical failures. Military bases lost contact with their command centers. Trade routes were disrupted by mysterious interference. The aliens didn't realize that their entire communication infrastructure was being systematically disabled by viruses that had been planted months earlier by those harmless human trading ships. Sir, we have a message from Intelligence Division. Captain Johnson is reporting from deep inside Zephyrian territory. Amy. Johnson's face appeared on the main screen. She was aboard what appeared to be a civilian cargo vessel, but Mitchell knew it was actually one of the most advanced reconnaissance ships in the human fleet. Colonel Mitchell, this is Johnson reporting from the Vex sector. I've been monitoring Alliance communications for the past hour. They're starting to panic. Their military commanders can't contact each other, and their trade networks are falling apart. What about their response to our ultimatum? High Command is split. The Draknari want to launch immediate attacks on human colonies. The Vex are reconsidering their position now that they're losing money from the communication failures. The Helix Collective is trying to analyze what's happening to their networks. Mitchell nodded. And they still don't know it's us? They're blaming it on solar flares and equipment failures. A few of their analysts are suggesting sabotage, but they can't figure out how we could have done it. The beauty of the plan was its simplicity. By presenting themselves as scattered and weak, humans had been allowed to place assets throughout Zephyrian space. The aliens had never imagined that the divided, peaceful humans could coordinate such a complex operation. Sir, we're receiving reports from all sectors. The Zephyrians are trying to mobilize their fleets, but without communication, they can't coordinate their movements. Mitchell looked at the tactical display. Red dots representing Zephyrian ships were moving randomly throughout their territory, unable to communicate with each other or receive orders from their commanders. What about their attempt to attack more human colonies? They're trying, sir, but they're in for a surprise. The colonies they think are defenseless are actually the most heavily fortified positions in our network. Lieutenant Colonel Wagner pulled up another display. Sir, the Zephyrians are sending attack fleets to hit New Boston, Riverside, and Port Jackson. They think these are easy targets. Mitchell almost felt sorry for the aliens. Those 3 colonies had been specifically designed to look vulnerable, while actually being among the strongest defensive positions humanity had ever built. How many ships are they sending? Approximately 60 vessels across all 3 targets. They're expecting light resistance. They're about to learn that human colonies aren't as helpless as they appear. The screen showed the Zephyrian fleets approaching the human settlements. The aliens had no idea that each colony contained underground missile batteries, hidden fighter squadrons, and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Sir, the first attack wave is engaging New Boston. They're about to discover our true defensive capabilities. Mitchell watched as the Zephyrian ships moved confidently toward what they thought was a defenseless colony. The alien commanders probably expected to destroy the settlement within minutes. Instead, the surface of the colony suddenly erupted with weapons fire. Hidden turrets emerged from concealed positions. Fighter craft launched from underground hangars. The sky filled with missiles and energy beams. Direct hit on the lead Zephyrian ship. Their entire first wave is taking heavy damage. The aliens tried to retreat, but they found themselves surrounded by human ships that had been waiting in the asteroid fields around the colony. What should have been an easy victory became a complete disaster. Sir, similar results from Riverside and Port Jackson. The Zephyrians are retreating from all 3 targets. Mitchell felt a moment of satisfaction. The aliens had expected to find weak, scattered humans. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's apparent weakness was actually a carefully planned deception. What's the status of their main fleet? Still scattered and unable to coordinate. Admiral Wells is reporting that our hidden squadrons are in position to strike their home bases. This was the moment Mitchell had been preparing for since the first alien contact. Not because humans wanted war, but because they had learned from history that peace was only possible when backed by strength. Sir, incoming message from Admiral Wells. She's asking for authorization to proceed with the final phase. Mitchell looked at the screens showing the chaos in Zephyrian space. Their fleets were scattered, their communications were down, and their attacks had failed. The aliens were beginning to understand that they had seriously underestimated humanity. Tell the Admiral she has authorization. It's time to show the Zephyrians what happens when they mistake human patience for weakness. As the orders went out, Mitchell reflected on the years of preparation that had led to this moment. Every human colony that had seemed vulnerable was actually part of a defensive network. Every trade mission that had appeared peaceful was actually gathering intelligence. Every diplomatic gesture that had seemed weak was actually buying time to prepare. The Zephyrians had seen what they expected to see, a scattered, peaceful species that would be easy to conquer. They had never imagined that humanity's greatest strength was their ability to work together in secret while appearing divided in public. Now they were about to learn the truth about human determination. High Commander Zeke Tarr stood in the Alliance Command Center, staring at screens that showed only static. For the first time in his military career, he couldn't contact his own forces. The entire Zephyrian communication network had gone dark simultaneously, and his analysts couldn't explain how it had happened. Report, he growled at his chief communications officer. Sir, we've lost contact with all outer sector fleets. The attacks on human colonies have failed completely. Our forces are retreating from all 3 targets. Zektar's claws dug into the metal railing in front of him. How is that possible? Our intelligence said those colonies were lightly defended. The colonies weren't lightly defended, sir. They were heavily fortified and waiting for us. Our ships walked into prepared traps. Trade Master Vexiini rushed into the command center, her usual calm composure replaced by panic. Zektar, my trade networks are collapsing. Every major commerce route is blocked. My merchants can't reach their destinations, and my communication systems are failing. It's not just trade routes, Collective Node Prime added as it entered the room. Our entire technological infrastructure is being systematically disabled. This isn't equipment failure. This is coordinated sabotage. Zektar turned to face the other two leaders. You're saying the humans did this? The same humans we've been calling weak and scattered? The evidence suggests they have capabilities we didn't know about, Node Prime replied. Their response to our attacks was too fast, too coordinated, too effective to be the work of a divided species. Before anyone could respond, the main screen flickered to life. Admiral Patricia Wells' face appeared, her expression calm but determined. Behind her, the command bridge of a human warship was visible. High Commander Zektar, Trade Master Vexiini. Node Prime, I am Admiral Wells of the Human Colonial Fleet. I believe you've been experiencing some communication difficulties. Zektar stepped forward, his anger barely controlled. What have you done to our networks? We've demonstrated that human technology isn't as primitive as you believed. We've also shown that human colonies aren't as defenseless as you assumed. Wells gestured to something off-screen, and the display changed to show tactical maps of Zephyrian space. Red markers indicated disabled communication stations, blocked trade routes, and scattered military forces. Your fleets are isolated and unable to coordinate. Your economy is grinding to a halt. Your military bases can't communicate with each other. Wells paused. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity. Trade Master Vexiini stepped forward. How long have you been planning this? Since the day we first made contact with your alliance. We hoped it would never be necessary, but we prepared for the possibility that diplomacy might fail. Zektar's voice was filled with rage. You deceived us. You made us believe you were weak. We allowed you to see what you expected to see. Your scouts observed our colonies and saw scattered settlements. They didn't look deeper to find the defensive networks. Your intelligence gathered information about our government and saw political divisions. They didn't understand that humans can argue about everything except the need to defend each other. The screen split to show multiple views of human fleets emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy. Ships appeared from asteroid fields, gas giant atmospheres, and empty space where nothing had been detected before. Admiral, Collective Node Prime said, its mechanical voice showing something that might have been respect. Your deception was thorough. Our analysis of human capabilities was completely incorrect. Your analysis was based on incomplete information. You saw our merchant ships visiting your space and assumed they were just traders. You observed our political debates and thought we were unable to act decisively. You noticed our peaceful nature and believed we are incapable of effective warfare. Wells' expression hardened. All of these assumptions led you to break a treaty that Ambassador Carter worked very hard to negotiate. You attacked our colonies and killed our people because you thought we couldn't stop you. The tactical display updated to show human fleets moving into position around major Zephyrian systems. The aliens were completely surrounded, with no way to coordinate a defense. What do you want? Zektar asked, his voice now carrying a note of defeat. The same thing Ambassador Carter offered you yesterday. Complete withdrawal from human space, reparations for the damage you caused, and accountability for those who ordered the attacks. And if we refuse? Wells' smile was cold. Then we continue our demonstration until you understand that refusal isn't an option. Trade Master Vexiini looked at the tactical displays showing her paralyzed trade networks. How quickly could you restore our communications if we agreed to your terms? Within hours. Human technology is quite efficient when it comes to fixing problems we created. Zektar stared at the screens showing his scattered fleets. His military. Pride warred with the reality of complete tactical defeat. You could have destroyed us completely. Why didn't you? Because destruction wasn't our goal. We wanted to demonstrate that attacking humanity has consequences, but we still prefer peace to war. Node Prime's analysis was clinical. You have proven your point effectively. Human capabilities were severely underestimated. Continued resistance would result in the complete collapse of Alliance infrastructure. The three leaders looked at each other. The pride that had led them to attack human colonies now seemed foolish in the face of humanity's overwhelming response. We accept your terms, Trade Master Vexiini said quietly. Wells nodded. Wise choice. You have 72 hours to complete the withdrawal from human space. Reparation amounts will be calculated based on actual damages. The military commanders responsible for planning the attacks will surrender themselves for trial, under interstellar law. And then, Zektar asked, then we go back to the way things were, before you broke the treaty. Trade between our species, peaceful coexistence, mutual respect for territorial boundaries. The screen flickered as the connection ended. The three Alliance leaders stood in silence, contemplating how completely their understanding of humanity had been wrong. 6 months later, Andrew Carter sat in his office on Earth, reading reports about the restoration of peaceful relations between humans and the Zephyrian Alliance. The aliens had completed their withdrawal ahead of schedule, paid full reparations, and handed over the military commanders responsible for the attacks. More importantly, they had become humanity's strongest advocates for peaceful solutions to interstellar disputes. Other alien species had watched the brief conflict and learned valuable lessons about underestimating human capabilities. Carter's aide, Maria Santos, entered with a cup of coffee and the latest diplomatic reports. Sir, the Helix Collective is requesting a formal alliance agreement. They want to ensure they never end up on the wrong side of Protocol 7. Carter smiled. Tell them we'd be happy to discuss it. Humanity has always preferred making friends to making enemies. What about the Spartan network? Are we shutting it down now that the crisis is over? Carter shook his head. Colonel Mitchell and his people will continue their work. Not because we expect more conflicts, but because being prepared for war is the best way to ensure peace. He looked out his window at the busy spaceport, where ships from dozens of species came and went freely. Human merchants traded peacefully with former enemies. Alien students attended human universities. Diplomatic missions worked to prevent the kind of misunderstandings that had led to the recent crisis. The galaxy learned something important during those 72 hours, Carter said. They learned that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our military power. It's our ability to work together when it really matters. Maria nodded. The Zephyrians certainly learned that lesson. More than that, they learned that humans mean what we say. When we offer friendship, we're genuinely friendly. When we sign treaties, we honor them. And when we deliver ultimatums, we're prepared to back them up. Carter returned to his reports, feeling satisfied that the galaxy was a more peaceful place than it had been 6 months ago. The brief demonstration of human capabilities had prevented a larger war and established new respect for humanity among the alien species. Outside his window, the stars beckoned toward a future where strength and diplomacy worked hand in hand to maintain peace. Humanity had proven they could fight when necessary, but more importantly, they had shown they preferred to build rather than destroy. The galaxy was learning that humans were neither as weak as they seemed, nor as aggressive as they could be. They were something far more dangerous to those who threatened them. They were prepared